Hi, my name is Carrie. You may know me as K Warning or from my shop 8-Bit Stitch. I've got to grab that whip before it turns into a UFO. I haven't been able to make it an FFO because the last time I was working on it, all I did was frog. Now, who understood any of that? Today, I want to talk to you about 10 cross-stitch terms you should know. The acronym edition. So some of these terms I feel like you're going to hear all the time. Some of them, maybe not so much. I kind of looked them up, was like, oh, I've heard that maybe once, but I thought it would be fun to just go through a couple of these just so you feel like you are in the know. The first term is, of course, DMC. So this is probably the most frequently used thread in cross stitch. It is actually a brand of thread. So DMC itself is the brand. And it is a French company. I actually don't have it written down what DMC stands for. That's on me, I guess. Okay, so I Googled what it stands for and I can't pronounce it. So I'm just gonna put the word on the screen for you guys, or I guess the words. Again, French company, so I can't pronounce it. But yeah, DMC. Using this in a sentence, I guess, I gotta run to the craft store and grab some DMC. I ran out. I feel so goofy coming up with sentences. The next term I have heard used before is an FFO. FFO means a finally finished object. That would be a project that you have just completed. To use that in a sentence, I'm so excited for this FFO. The next term to know is LNS, Local Needle Shop. Those of you who are lucky enough to have an LNS in your town, I am so jealous. All I have is big box stores here. It can be really exciting to go visit friends or family in towns where I know there are LNS stores and kind of pick up some really unique supplies. To use that in a sentence, do you want to hit up the LNS with me? I need to find some really cool Ada. Next one that I haven't really heard a lot of people use, but I feel like maybe will come into fashion now that we have all been kind of quarantined at home for a while, is ONS. So like LNS, meaning local needle shop, your ONS would be your online needle shop. I know I have a few that are my favorites for ONS, and I will link them down below, some of the shops that I use regularly. And using that in a sentence, I'm gonna hop onto my ONS and put in a supply order. The next term to know is PFO, pulled from oblivion. So this is a project that you haven't worked on for some time that you're going to bring out from oblivion. I'm not really sure what the time frame is in which to be considered oblivion. I think that's really up to you. To use that in a sentence, I'm not really sure what to work on right now. I'm gonna grab my project bag and pick a PFO. The next term is PhD. This is projects half done. So if you ever hear somebody say they're getting their PhD in cross stitch, it's not necessarily a good thing. All of their projects are half finished. Got to turn those PhDs into FFOs. We'll all feel super good about ourselves. The next term, I use this one a lot because I actually create a lot of these. SAL or SAL, and that is a stitch along. So a stitch along is a project that is created by a designer in which is released to stitchers to stitch at the same time together, stitching along together. So for example, with my stitch alongs, I'll create an entire pattern and then release one piece at a time over a certain time frame, and we'll all stitch the project together. Usually these patterns are a surprise, so you're kind of purchasing them blindly. And the design develops over time. This is gonna be super nerdy of me. I'm trying to think of a sentence to use this on, and it's like really narcissistic, the ones that keep popping into my mind. Like, have you heard about the new Sal from 8-Bit Stitch? Totally gonna get on that one. So nerdy. I can tell my cat is judging me. You think I'm a dork too? Yeah. The next term is UFO. This is a unfinished object. So a lot of the times how a UFO is going to differ from like a PhD is that with a PhD you really have the intention of turning that into an FFO. In my experience, a UFO is something that has kind of turned into a PFO. So many acronyms. So this is something where you haven't finished it, you maybe don't have any intentions on finishing it, or you don't have any intentions of finishing it for quite a while. It has turned into an unfinished object. To use that in a sentence, I messed up so many times on that piece and got a little discouraged, so it's kind of turned into a UFO. Next, a term that I probably hear the most out of all of these acronyms, WIP. So WIP is a work in progress. And if you are a seasoned stitcher, you probably, like me, have many, many, many WIPs. I just can't finish, always starting. So to use that in a sentence, I have 12 WIPs. That's terrifying and fact. And the last term for today, which I really have never heard, but it was on a list that I checked out and I kind of liked it. And maybe we could all start using it more because I think it's a little funny. WTF, waiting to finish. I'm not sure how we would use this one. I like it a lot, probably just for the mere reason that it's WTF. But why would we be waiting to finish something? I think I'm going to decide that what they mean by this, or what we mean by this, is waiting to finish it in a frame. That makes sense to me. Like I have this FFO, this finally finished object, and now it's a WTF because I gotta go take it to the frame store. Waiting to finish. I like that. That makes sense in my brain. Let me know if you've interpreted it a different way and maybe I'm just making this up. And that's all for today. There are so many cross-stitch terms that I want to touch on. This is probably going to become a series on my channel. I know I skipped over some really big ones that you guys are probably wondering what they mean. I promise you, I will get to them. And if there are any terms that you really want to know, like top priority, feel free to put them in the comments. I'll try to include them in my next video. I hope you found this helpful. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, happy stitching. Okay. You can't distract me. You have to lay down and nap. That's not laying down and napping. That's going towards the door that I just closed. That you guys want to be in here when the door is open, but if the door is closed, you need to be outside the door. Cats. I look so corny all the time. And now there's going to be a jump from that. It's going to be like a continuity issue where it moved behind me, and I hope everybody is bothered by it. But why would we